All right, for the beginning for our notes today, we're going to start by drawing a horizon line with your pencil across your piece of paper. It'll look like this. Thank you for just watching right now and not actually doing it. You're just watching with your eyes. So draw a line that goes from side to side, or a horizontal line. This is actually going to be a horizon line. Then on the back side, you're going to take and divide this in half as well. But this time you're going to draw a vertical line. We're going to make this into sort of a postcard. So if we had a postcard, up here would be the stamp. We would write our address here of where we wanted to send it. We would write a lovely little note to whoever we're sending it to, and then we would sign it with our name at the bottom. So I need to have your name down here. Now, we are going to do a technique called wet on wet to begin with. Wet on wet means that you have wet paper and wet paint. So what I'm doing is I'm actually putting this water on the back of my piece of paper, and you're going to see it react in a very peculiar way. As I add the water on there, it starts to bend just a little bit. So that's actually how it's sitting right now. It's all bent up. It'll actually start curling even a little bit more. The reason that we add it on the back is to help it stay flat when we add the wet on wet method on the front. So again, I'm going to add the water on my paper first, but I'm only going to go down to the upper half of my page where I had that horizon line, and we're going to be making a sunset today. So with my paints over here, I'm going to start out with my yellow, and I'm going to make a half sun down at the bottom. So it'll look something like this, and you might even see the water expand, or the color expanding across my page, and that's quite normal. That's what happens with wet on wet. And I'm going to work my way out. So I did yellow, now I'm going to work my way to orange. So I'm kind of thinking about the color wheel and what goes next to each other on the color wheel. Bless you. And you can make this go out as far as you would like. And then we'll add a little red out here towards the edges. Red goes all the way out to the edges. And I'm going to let that just kind of work together. If I want to make them blend together a little bit more, I can actually pick up my piece of paper and move that around. I don't know if you can see that very well. But you want to have enough water on here that it starts moving around, that it has a chance to blend. But you don't want to have so much that you're going to have globs. If you have globs of water, I want you to take a paper towel and just kind of dab up the water. Sometimes you'll remove the color that way. If you remove the color, just add it back in. Now the second part of this, we're going to make a sunset on the beach. So I'm going to add a wet on wet method on the lower half. Now what I'm very careful to do, this is probably the most critical point, is I'm trying to keep a space in between my sky and my water that's dry. If I do that, the water has, or the paint has no way of interacting with each other. It'll stay in its separate little areas. So I add the water along here, but like I said, I was very careful along the edge. And I'm going to start with my watercolors, the colors of my water, I mean, and I'll add blue to begin with. And I'm going to make horizontal lines. When you're looking at water, because of the way that the light reflects on it, it kind of has these horizontal lines going across it. And I'm going to use a secondary color, maybe a green or a purple, to kind of mix amongst these lines. It'll give it more interest, it'll look more realistic. Now let's just say that accidentally when I was doing that first line, I went over to a little part here. And all of a sudden the water and the sky started interacting, and I didn't want that to happen. Again, I'm going to use the very magical tool of a paper towel and dab that up. And I can dry that space up, let that dry up, and re-add the color if I need to, if I want to make that orange again.